We have lived for 100 years on the assumption of if it's on film, it's true.
Yeah.
And we are about to enter the era of that not being true. You got your perspective. I just want to be happy. Don't you want to be happy? Hey guys, welcome to a very special episode of the podcast in Cannes. I'm here with Kevin Alloca. I'm gonna allow him to kind of give you the context. I have a series of questions, but this kicks off our interview series at Cannes. Something that I wanted to do for a lot of this audience as the podcast has grown and become far more 360. Obviously so much grounded in entrepreneurship and startup culture, but over the last half decade, a lot more in the ad world and the Fortune 500 land. And what's really exciting about having Kevin on is I think his organization and really ironically, what he actually does for a living, I think touches a far majority of the people listening. So I'm super excited, bro. I'm really glad you're here. Please tell the Vayner Nation who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Kevin Alloca. I'm the head of culture and trends at YouTube. I basically work on projects that help people find and understand what's popular on YouTube at the end of the day. And I've been tracking trends at YouTube for almost 9 years now. I wrote a book called Videocracy, which looks at like the ways that people interact with culture and interact with video and how that influences culture. And so basically I work on like, on the one side, we do a lot of like consumer stuff, basically how we surface and understand what's popular on YouTube. And then on the other side, like I'm here because a lot of times people want to understand in this world what's going on in creativity, what's going on YouTube. And
I mean, this world needs to pay way more attention.
Yeah, yeah.
You agree with that?
I do. I mean, I think there's we were at this phase a few years ago where it was like, okay, there's a lot of audience here, so we're gonna pay attention to that audience, but not take a second to understand what they're watching or why they're watching it. And now we're kind of entering this other phase where I think everybody's starting to see like, oh, like to understand how to reach that audience, I need to understand why they're there, what they're doing there, like who they care about, and like, you know, like I'm gonna give this talk this week about this in many ways, but like we're so used to making assumptions and value judgments about creativity and about content and what people should like or shouldn't like. And
it's audacious.
YouTube subverts a lot of that stuff.
It's audacious.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, so let's take a step back.
Yeah. What
kind of kid were you? Like, where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
Like, were you into Star Wars or like selling Jolly Ranchers or like, I see you have two earring holes.
No, it's just a media mark. I never.
Oh, those are just. Those are not. Oh, those are just birthmarks.
Yeah,
all right,
right.
damn it. I was like, why'd you have two earrings in the same year?
Yeah,
I was super fired up. I was like, I went to it immediately.
But I did grow up in north of Miami in South Florida.
Okay.
Which is
what
an
town?
interesting place, Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah, that's where all the Russians have gone. Do you know about this? Like all my parents' generation Russians have all moved to this Hollywood, Florida.
I mean, like there is.
It's about to be the Brighton Beach of Florida.
I was part of the wave where everybody's Italian parents moved to Florida.
Okay.
And stuff. So like that's how.
Makes sense.
That's how I was born there.
Yep.
And I grew up in Ontario until I was 18, and I was like, I gotta.
What kind of kid were you?
Like, I was like a kid trying to figure out what like in between.
How old are you right now?
I'm 35.
Keep going.
So I was in between cultures in a way because I was growing up. Everybody I grew up with was like kids of first generation immigrants and like from Latin America and things. But my family was from New York, and they were Italian American. So I just was like, I'm gonna be into metal, like, because like
that's what you
like
decided?
the last thing you should be into when you're in Miami, or South Florida, because I just like wanted.
You want to be countercultural,
exactly, you know.
So what did you get into, like Iron Maiden and shit?
Metallica, like Pantera, and I listen to that stuff now. And I'm like, oh god, Metallica, okay, but like some of the other stuff,
Rat,
like and so like and then like it took me a long time to embrace that I just really actually love what I was around, which is all the hip hop scene that was happening down there.
Interesting.
And by the time I went to college,
literally you were that kind of dude, like you wanted to be countercultural, so like you didn't want to be into hip hop like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly,
I love that.
And like
I get. Oh, I know people like that.
Like I was like, everybody's into Wu-Tang.
Steve Unwin.
I don't want to be into Wu-Tang, But now I'm like, man, Wu-Tang was so good.
It
took me so long to sort of really appreciate some of these things.
So that's why you were into music.
Yeah, and then
what were your other interests?
I really wanted to work in the movies for a long time, and I did theater and speech and debate and stuff, and nerd stuff and.
But you were outward.
Yeah, totally. And I
you know, speech and debate, historically nerd stuff, but it's so crazy now that everybody wants to be, like, all these 18-year-olds think I'm cool because I give motivational speeches, and they're all like hitting me up, and they're like, I want to join the debate team. I want to join the speech, and I'm like, my God, this was the nerdiest shit when I was a kid, and now just how the world moves.
It's I mean, one of the most invaluable things.
If you think about you right now, you are like textbook influence. Every kid 14 wants to be an influencer on earth.
Yeah.
And literally being into film, speech, and debate would be like a real good idea. You like set the tone for the framework of, this is actually kind of meta. This is why I love asking questions like this. You're sitting in this incredibly important position at YouTube, which is really outside of Instagram, the two places where the manifestation of influencer, the way every 14-year-old thinks, and literally the framework of what you grew up actually is probably the blueprint a lot of them should be thinking about.
It's true. I mean, like those years that I spent, and I did comedy for a bit too, and like those years that I spent doing that stuff, like really shaped, I think.
Comedy for sure. Improv?
Sketch.
Yeah, same shit though at some level.
Yeah, totally. But it's all about like trying to understand an audience in a way. Like that's
exactly right.
It took me a long time to figure out that, but like I was really just obsessed with why people like stuff, and that is professionally my job now. Is like
good for you.
Why people like stuff.
How did you end up in this position?
Pretty weird.
You've been at YouTube for 9 years?
Yes. So before that, I was a comedy writer for a bit at the Huffington Post.
Okay.
And then I worked at Media Bistro. You remember Media Bistro?
Very well.
Like,
very well. Yeah, of course.
So I was their television news industry editor for a bit. Like after Stelter would do.
You worked for Jonah at HuffPo?
We did this. There was this thing.
Paul
Barry
Berry?
Diller and Paul was there when I was there. But Barry Diller and Ariana did this thing called 23/6, which was like a political satire thing.
Yes,
for 2 years.
I remember.
And that was my first job in New York. Like I was an editorial assistant, worked my way up to associate editor or whatever during the 2008 election run up and right afterwards. Like I didn't really appreciate the economics of it at the time, so I was like baffled when the thing fell apart. 2 years later, now I'm like, of course, but you know.
That's about to happen in the world again pretty soon. Everyone's about to be baffled.
Yeah. So I did that.
How's my direct-to-consumer brand not doing well, even though I'm losing money on every customer I acquire?
Just never. I can't imagine how they made it work, but for as long as they did. But well,
Barry has deep pockets.
I guess that helps. And, so like I knew a lot about pop culture from working in that job.
By the way, real quick on that, just this is now selfish for my audience. Back to Barry has deep pockets. It's actually not that. It's actually a lot of what I think about. I have so many things micro fail, but the macro always works.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about IC, you think about all that, like they're doing so much that like all they need is like 3 or 4 wins. Like 23/6 is right. It just, you know, timing and the economy and all that didn't allow them to see it through.
Totally. I mean,
but it's really fascinating when you see those, when you look at an icon like Barry or others, like they're always trying things, and nobody here knows about 23/6, but everybody knows about the biggest dating ecosystem on the internet. Everybody knows about all the other things that they've accomplished, College Humor and all those iconic things. So like, you know?
There were a lot of things that we were doing back then, like these like kind of political supercut things and like that kind of remix style that like YouTube had just launched. So like there was like.
Were you doing deep fakes yet?
No.
Okay.
we were several years away from that.
D-Rock, when are you gonna make deep fakes of me saying shit like I love Tom Brady? That, by the way, for everybody who knows, that will never happen. So when that will be a deep fake.
Yeah, just warning everybody now.
By the way, just like to be completely scattered like I like to be. This deep fake thing really is fascinating.
It is.
Like if you think about AI's advancement, like I'm like, wow, we're talking about a half decade from now where this shit's gonna be perfect, and now what? Yeah. Are we just only in a place where like you could, you know, it's so funny, the openness of the internet was something I understood. I think we're gonna see a big, like I almost feel like I'm just gonna be live streaming at all times to prove it's me and what I have to say. Like everybody thinks it's gonna close. I even just started saying the closeness. My counter move to the closeness is complete onness.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
If I stream every minute of my life, there should be no debate if I ever said it, because it's documented if I did or didn't. I can prove that I didn't. You've been watching me at all times. Some Truman Show shit.
There's
D-Rock, you ready to sleep in the same bed as me?
But yeah, there's so many crazy, because like we've
What's your hot take on that?
Well, I mean,
I know you're guessing. What do you think?
Spent this time. Like when I say we, I mean all of us. We've all spent this era of like being used to the idea of like, oh, if it's on video, it happened, right? And so like eyewitness footage. I mean, that's the thing that scares me, especially from international places where we don't actually have a window in necessarily because there's not a free press. And like now we're gonna be having we have this new dynamic that's coming in. We're gonna have to evaluate everything on this new level.
Yeah,
we're not the world is not ready for that.
No, because as you know, that means people are just gonna go into their prejudices.
Yeah.
By having the ability to say deep fake, now you can basically say that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like this horrific bullshit of the police in Phoenix, if you want to be on the side of racism, you can just say that's a bullshit video.
Yeah.
That fucking hurts.
I know.
I agree. Listen,
that's the scary part.
Listen, there is a complete restructuring of our society in our faces right now. Nationalism on the rise. Deep to your point, I mean that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We have lived for 100 years on the assumption of if it's on film, it's true.
Yeah.
And we are about to enter the era of that not being true.
Now there's another side of this which is kind of interesting and
I could be my sister right now. Like I'm just cut up imagery right now, and my sister's talking.
So there's another thing.
My sister Elizabeth is the greatest human. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
There's another thing that's happening that's on the other side of this, which is on a much more kind of creative side, where we're seeing out of like places like Japan, like actual creators, like on-camera personalities are called virtual YouTubers. That
I'm aware.
That are all artificial, and it's actually allowing people to do other more creative stuff, allowing them to voice themselves in ways that they wouldn't.
There's always good and bad.
So it's like it's an interesting.
So you were a writer, and then what? A job opened up at YouTube, and you're like, I'm interested.
I was interested because it was obviously like at that point, I was 2010. YouTube was I loved viral videos like everybody did at the time, but YouTube was. Do you
remember Narnia and Magnolia? Like, so I was on YouTube so early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were like 2006 or something.
Yes,
like that with
February.
With the wine. Yeah.
Yes, so I'm so pissed I wasn't documenting back then. Yahoo Video and YouTube, independent, both flew me out to California. It's like the first time I ever did, like, even before Facebook and Twitter. I flew out and they were asking me questions about why I was making 20-minute videos. Yeah, you gotta love this. This is crazy. I could see D-Rock perking up. I never talk about this. Yeah. I was so early and I was going so long form that besides like Rocket Boom and Zay Frank were like doing like 5-minute, and Renetto, and there was like like some real early people. First of all, as you know, no million viewed videos. Yeah. None. Like when Narnia and like Magnolia Cupcakes, like when that exploded on SNL clips and they were getting like 1 million, people were like blown away. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Nike Touch of Gold thing.
Like that was just like every video that did, like when I did Conan in July of 2007, like literally every YouTuber emailed me and said, you're doing this for us. Like besides Perez Hilton, nobody had done a mainstream media thing. So when I did that skit in 07, literally like the 39, the 88 like YouTubers that mattered, that's how many there were like, hey, go do it for us. And so it was super early, but real quick, they flew me out and they were asking me questions like, why are you making 20-minute videos? Yeah. As in like, no, like you shouldn't be making them. Like only 1-minute videos work.
Yeah. I mean, there's a long history of YouTube. I mean, I've been there for 9 years of even the people who work there being like, we think this technology is for this, and then you going and doing that and being like, oh, actually it could be for that.
Well, that's what's fun being a platform you get to watch.
Yeah.
And that's what you do in the macro.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's funny? What you do for a living is probably in some weird way the thing I enjoy most doing for a living. Yeah. Even though I don't do it like officially. Yeah. A lot of my comes from reading and listening and just reading comments. How do you think about your process in figuring out, inevitably, the biggest brands in the world, other organizations that YouTube wants to do business with or wants to help, are asking you questions like, what is happening? What is popping? Like, how do you not make that just a math equation?
It's,
because I know you don't.
Yeah, no, my boss.
Otherwise, anybody could do it.
She's like, she said to me once, and I think about this all the time. She's like, how can we just take the feeds of stuff that you guys look at and give them to everybody else so they can have the same insights that you have? And I was like, honestly,
that's not how it works.
The best insight I have is this person who like is watching stuff all day, and then she and this other person together like talk about what they've just seen, and they draw some contextual connection, and then we go look at the data to verify whether there's actually something there or not. And like creativity is really hard to quantify, actually. Like, I mean, you can do it like
impossible.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean,
That's
I should say there are certain aspects of creativity that you would expect to be able to quantify that are actually not. And of course, like, you know, we've had this debate all the time. Like, can you actually like artificially like create? Is that even possible?
But you can do a lot of stuff post game.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. Post game, we're all heroes.
Yeah.
Oh, that video, like we put every day, we're like, oh, that wasn't good.
Yeah.
Because the audience gets to say, it's the pre-game work.
Totally, and then you do something, and then someone else does that thing, and then like a year later, there's a taxonomy that has been invented that relates to those things. We've been seeing this in music for a long time, obviously. Like,
yes.
There was no like language for how to talk about punk when punk was first starting or whatever, and now it's like,
what do they call it?
This is that era. I mean,
got it. I just didn't know if you know.
Yeah. But like, I think like and even like pop, I was having this debate like, because there's this we're having this debate right now, me and my music trends person, about like whether pop music is changed completely or does it even exist anymore, and like the things that we think of as pop aren't as popular as other things are.
This is what intellectual humans waste time on.
It's 100%. But I mean, I think it all speaks to this thing, which is not about not a waste of time, which is like if you realize that, then when you look at everything, you start to say, oh, like I can't just right now go and like say X, Y, and Z is popping, so we're gonna do another thing. We're gonna do this, you know, based on that thing. There's still such a strong element of, like, you know, creators all the time, people that you know, like they're like, okay, everybody's trying to work their game, trying to like figure out the thing.
Titles and thumbnails and like fucking
like,
trends.
Like above everything else, besides all those optimizations, like you have to have such a strong independent voice, like to be able to break through on stuff, and that like is so hard to.
The singular reason I think that I've had some success is I'm not good at growth hacking.
Yeah.
I mean it.
So by eschewing that, you're just focused in on you, and that's, yeah.
And I don't consume anybody else's content. Nothing. I would I watch New York Jets football.
Yeah.
And I read comments from the content I put out.
So if it hasn't been responded to something that you're already saying, you're not.
I'm insular as fuck. And somehow I still know what's going on with Meg the Stallion or
How do you think that is?
The comments.
Your commenters are just.
And then humans, right? Meg the Stallion, because of Mike Boyd, a human that I have who has an ear to the street, and he's like, well, you know, he's curating music for me to listen to. So hip hop, I have a human infrastructure in place, and then I have a funny ear, and it's always been that way. Like a lot of the people I liked before people liked them. Master P, Bone Thugs. There's been so many things that have happened in my career of like just being a consumer, of being early on people. So that's that combo. But a lot of the other stuff, like it's serendipity. Twitter's very good for me because it's insular in a different way. Comments on YouTube and comments on Instagram stay within a vortex. On Twitter, somebody will reply to me about something and make a reference to something, and it's right there.
Yeah.
And so I think Twitter, and this is like the first time I've articulated this, I think Twitter helps me discover some stuff a little bit more than I realize, but it's very, very insular. It's funny, I just spoke to a bunch of the creators on an off-the-record combo where Casey Neistat was interviewing me, and it was like,
I spoke at the same thing.
Great, so you know who was in there, right? So the big thing I told them that really broke through, and a bunch of them hit me up who had not known who I was, especially the younger crew. Yeah. I told them like, hey, you're becoming a fucking creature of the fucking algorithm.
Yeah.
I'm like, you all know the videos that are gonna work. You can bang those out. You already know. I'm like, you're gonna become unhappy. Plus you've evolved.
Yeah.
Like when you were 16 to 19, especially the youngsters, right? Like right now, I'm pretty locked in. Like 35 to 43 is like, there's some edge work. But fucking 15 to 22, there's fucking foundational work of who you're gonna be. Some of these kids start off as fucking makeup and now they like don't even want they want no makeup. They think it's clean makeup. And I was really pushing them. And this really resonated. I'd love to get your thought on this. This is why I'm setting it up as a question. I said, make a video that you know won't work. That isn't made for the algorithm and the growth, but that you just actually want to make. And some of them have, and it really did well, and they're really happy. And if I felt like I made a little bit of a difference, it's starting to be a drum I'm starting to beat more. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, because I think it is not as formula driven as people want to believe it.
The end.
There's a comfort in that, I think, in a way. And like those people that have success and rely on those formulas, there's certain things about those formulas that are allowing them to express certain parts of themselves that really resonate with people, whatever. But like, I actually think you get to a point where you're like, well, I have to keep doing that thing to be able to succeed. So many people have just broken that rule over and over again.
Mr. Beast is creative above and beyond just the fact that he's great at thumbnails.
100%, 100%. And you know, the one thing that you just sort of referenced in the midst of what you're saying is that like there is this, and this is fascinating to me. It's like there is this group. If you're 19 right now, you were 5 when YouTube launched. You grew up watching people like you, people like
not me because I was selling alcohol, but like, but yes,
yeah.
You're right.
That era of people like you grew up watching that. So like, what is what you make look like?
Is there a YouTube Hall of Fame?
You know? No, but how do you decide that?
Well, the same fucking way all the other fucking bullshit things do. the NBA, the NBA Hall of Fame's a fucking joke.
Yeah, but it's like, I think there's something that's like.
I'm just basically trying to figure out which Hall of Fames I can sneak into, so that was that. Let's move on. Yeah. All right, so there's a lot of people listening right now who do want to pop or do want to get, like, let's be very selfish for my audience. What are some hot takes, observation, like diarrhea of the mouth of like some things you're seeing which are completely predicated on a potential first mover advantage? Because one great thing I love about my audience is because I suffocate the fuck of inaction. This is not just a place to get motivated. Well, actually it is a place to get motivated. And by the way, if you're listening and you haven't done shit and you just use me for a quick motivation, and you use me as like people use motivation as a make pretend to doing shit. This is a public service announcement. Like, stop fucking listening to me and fucking do something, or continue to listen to me but do something. Because D-Rock, you've seen that whole group of people who love to tweet, Gary, I stopped watching you. I favorite them, and 90% of them are just listening now to a worse version of me and still not doing shit. So give me some hot takes that might be valuable for the audience before we bounce.
First thing off of what you just said is make stuff. Like, I think like there's people like have this, because so much of what you see now feels like it's very packaged and edited and pristine. Like there's a sort of thing that I got to start there, but like it's the lowest stakes thing you could do is just put up something and see how people react.
All 1,000 episodes of Wine Library TV, I did no audio, no lighting. I literally looked like I was a hostage. Like literally, when you like watched, if you haven't seen it, a lot of you don't even know about my wine videos. Go to YouTube. By the way, biggest mistake of my career happened. One of the first people on YouTube, Vidler, a competitive video platform, gave me 7% of the company.
Oh my God.
Think about how hot I was on YouTube in year 1. They gave me 7% of the company to go exclusively on Vidler. Plus it worked for me. I was so long. What Vidler had was an IP, a patent on tagging within the stream in the bottom, because people were complaining in my comments. I didn't just leave for the money, because I rarely do. It was, Gary, you talk so much in between reviewing the wines. I'm here just for the reviewing wines. So what Vidler did was, like, at the bottom of the player, you could see 4 little dots. Exactly. It was fucking amazing. Anyway, one of the biggest mistakes I made was leaving the platform. But if you go to YouTube right now, because I think Vidler's so down that the videos are gone. Like, if you go to YouTube right now, I made sure all the archives went up there. They don't have a lot of views for that reason, but I look like a hostage.
Yeah, but it's like the other stuff comes as you, like, it turns out that the other things, the production value and everything, it's like matters, but not as much as like having.
Tell D-Rock. D-Rock, that was one of the biggest things you learned coming into my world, right? Admit it.
It was.
Okay, good. Admit it again for my own happiness.
It was the biggest thing I've learned coming into.
What else did you learn, D-Rock?
Nothing.
Good. All right, so production value, permit to make, that's a big one for me. Like, just fucking make. Next.
Yes, the other thing is, you talk about work around something that you really actually are passionate about and care about a lot.
Or deeply knowledgeable, do you believe?
Deeply knowledgeable, but you have to really care about it, because
if you're deeply knowledgeable and you hate it, you'll quit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that you could just like get in and be like, I'm gonna do this for 6 months, and we'll see what happens, and then like, I'll be a big star after that. Like, that's not how that game works at all.
99% don't.
You gotta be in it, and you gotta want to do it all the time. It's like, people ask me all the time now about writing books. They're like, oh, what do I need to do to write a book? It's like, pick something you want to be obsessed with for 5 years.
Have you ever read Crush It? I want to send it to you. Yeah. I'll tell you why. I think you're gonna shit that I wrote it in 2008, because it's like so far completely on your thesis. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, and then so you have those like, if you just start making stuff and it's built around the thing you care about, you're already like halfway to getting where you need to go. Then you got to pay attention to what you got to, it's like all the basic stuff. You got to, there's the amount of analytics you have available to you is incredible. Most of it doesn't matter. You got to pick a couple of things that matter to you. What people like, what's your retention look like? What are the thumbnails that people are clicking on? You got to like pay attention to those things, because that helps. That's not just like optimizing for some thing, that is just telling you what people are interested in, right?
Do you see a lot of people who are incredible at the thumbnail and title shit, but once the people walk in the door, the actual content, because they're not passionate or talented, is so garbage that they, even though they're good at growth hacking, also fail?
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time actually, because the way that just,
I like that.
in a way, the way that the YouTube algorithm is designed is around retention and like watch time, right? It's about like, the length of engagement. So if people are coming and they're bailing, you're never going to be able to survive, and just getting served up.
The end.
Yeah. I mean, it worked. It used to work back in the day.
Yeah, no, I know.
Things have changed a lot since then.
Because, you know, YouTube cares about its end user.
Yeah, of course. It's all about like giving people what they want in a way, and that's...
What's been buzzing in the halls? Give some shout outs to some people doing some creative stuff in the last 6 months to a year. What's been a video, a creator, and listen, obviously this is completely flavor of the month. This could be somebody walking by in your hall and like, you know, I'm sure everybody that works at YouTube has their, you know, plate of favorites and different creators, but like, what's been in the last month or two like catching people's attention?
So I'll give you, I'm going to use these two examples over here, but Emma Chamberlain and Joanna Sedia, they're both young, they're both rejecting a lot of the things. This goes into what we were talking about before about people grew up watching other stuff.
Yes.
Like these are people who like, they don't wear makeup, they like, edit, like sloppy editing, but it's like, their voices are so authentic and fun, and like, I just love the shit out of everything that they make. Like, my team is just like obsessed with their stuff. And I think what they're doing is they're basically saying, and like, you know, you have. Are they together?
They're doing separate things, but the same shit.
Yeah, I think they're both in the same. They're
part of crew.
Young people who.
Do they know each other?
I mean, I don't.
Do they fuck with each other? Like they give like daps, like, yo, we're different, we're not friends, but like I fuck with you, like on the same. You see the world the way I do.
Their fans definitely have like.
That's. But do they like? Are they like let's start this Avenger shit? Okay. Well, Maha, let's get both of them on the podcast together. We'll just fucking. I'm the original fucking piece of shit editing, fucking voice powerful as fuck. I'm the fucking granddaddy of these two ladies.
You want to talk about flavor of the month, Lil Nas X and Old Town Road.
Of course.
And he came to the office and I got to chat with him for a little bit about like his the
process
road to getting that thing to where it was. He's like, it was just so intuitive. Like he just like, I made 50 memes with the song in the background. A bunch of them blew up, and now I have a hit single. Like it just was, and it wasn't like he was like, he just got lucky. He like knew how to work Twitter. He like knew how to work all these platforms.
These people are deeper strategists.
They're like, are they gonna? Is he gonna be a one-hit wonder? What's gonna happen? It's like, well, I don't know, but he knows how to talk to people.
You know he's not going to be.
It's true. Yeah,
because he's got the tools in his belt.
Yeah.
It's the same reason I know I'll always win. I'm both the actor and the producer and the distributor.
Yeah. And when you are the distributor, the one-hit wonder thing, we've been even debating, can you be a one-hit wonder anymore when you can build your own audience, at a certain point.
Right, and then what's the redefinition of that, right? Is like, are we all half-hit wonders because it amortizes out?
Yeah, exactly.
What else?
But those two are big. And then
talk to me about something I'm passionate about. I'm getting really hot on the idea of hiring a lot of 50 to 90-year-olds, starting a incubator in a retirement home. I'm always looking for white spaces. Yeah. We're talking about a lot of inclusion in our society now, which I'm very happy about. I think the one group we're not talking about is people that are over 60.
Yeah. I mean,
so anything interesting, intuitively I feel like YouTube's mature enough now. Is there like some 86-year-old crushing for the other 86-year-olds on YouTube?
We've seen a lot of older creators now like popping. It's actually interestingly, we're seeing a lot of it in India, in other countries. There's some in Germany. I've seen it. You see it.
Yeah, America's fucking bullshit on this ageism
thing. There's a lot of people who are revered in their community for their expertise, like cooking, right? For example, that like, oh yeah, why not why not hear from this 90-year-old woman how she cooks these recipes? Like that's exactly who I want to hear from when it comes to cooking something. The only people I wanted to hear from as a kid was the grandparents of my friends. Yeah. Like literally history was the only class I was good at, and I always gravitated towards the elderly. Yeah, and I think there's because they have not grown up with these technology. My grandfather's 101. He's on the internet every day. Wow. He's emailing me. He's checking his stocks. He's like, I'll come home and he'll be like, what? He's like, explain to me the cloud. And it's like, oh my god, but he's like wants to know. He like wants to know everything. It's not like I think we have these like kind of beliefs, these stereotypes that people are like.
Let's focus on something important. Tell me everything about your grandfather's 100th birthday party.
Oh, it was awesome. It was down in Florida. So at his 95th birthday party, he was like, "Hey, I don't have any great grandkids. That's not cool."
So he like took the mic and was like, "Fuck you, get the fucking."
It's like, and like all the grandkids were all like, they're like this.
Yeah.
And 100th birthday, there's 4 great grandkids like sitting at the table. Like everybody's married. Like it's a whole other ballgame. It's like your word matters, dude.
That's cool.
It was really awesome. But I mean, he was at the World's Fair when they debuted the TV, and it's like now he's like.
Yeah. What's your favorite story from your grandpa? Like, what is it like? How does your grandpa roll? Like, does he roll the? You guys are complaining about fucking the wrong milk and fucking coffee, and like we went through like fucking depression. Does he roll as like sit down kid? Like how does he roll?
Yeah, no, he doesn't. The thing that I've always been impressed with, he's just like he's a timeless person in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
And like he's like he fought in World War II and like won Bronze Star, saw some shit. Like I imagine
Clearly.
He doesn't talk about. He's never like, oh man, I had to fight in a war. He never says that stuff.
Right.
He just wants everybody to succeed and wants them to be smart.
What do we end with? What did we cover here? Like as one final part for all the aspiration that is listening.
I think. I mean, your audience is mostly U.S. or do you have like a?
No, it's pretty global.
I think the thing that is super interesting to me is like how much we're seeing cross-culture stuff happening, and there's like both you have both things that are like hyper local and that only make sense in certain markets, and you have stuff that's playing out across different markets.
To that point, I apologize. Are you paying attention to what's going on Netflix from where we're starting to see truly breakout hits that are, there's that show Dark in Germany that is like subtitled and just like a global phenomenon, even though it's super similar to Stranger Things, which is super cool. Like, I think what YouTube and Netflix are showing, I actually think it's the end of American pop culture dominance.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already seeing it. Like, never in your or my generation would we see K-pop stars dominate 12-year-old blonde girls in Florida, and so I think it's a really interesting time. Is that where you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, 8 of the top 10 songs globally on YouTube last year were in Spanish. Like that's like not something that we would have seen. And obviously part of that is like Latin America blowing up on usage online. But I think you're just seeing like there's a more of an appetite for perspectives from different cultures right now, and for creativity coming from different places. And I think if you just are the type of person who's like me, who wants to know what's happening and like be like kind of on the edge, you gotta be looking at what's happening in different places.
It's the best. I mean, Latin trap has been something I've been like watching for like 3 years, and it's just been super interesting to watch it explode.
The global like essence of hip hop is fascinating to me. That like hip hop works everywhere,
Rules the world.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Nip. This was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having a great week, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Take care. Keep listening, everyone. Please leave your comments. This is a little bit of a new format. I'd love to get your feedback on that. Hit me up on Twitter. All the global listeners, since we're not American dominated. I'm just hope you guys enjoy. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.